so, but we have so many new people who have joined Zoom, and we always can use a little refresher course on things we've heard in the past. So thank you to Les for agreeing to lead these next three programs, and we look forward to hearing from Les and seeing what glass people have to share tonight.
Absolutely. All right, Les, we'll let you take it away. Hopefully, your arm will not prevent you from holding up your glassware.
Yeah, so I might as well just go up front with this with everyone. So I took a tumble 3 weeks ago, Saturday, out for a walk, and I actually think I fainted. I don't think I tripped over anything. So it was on a Saturday. I had to go to the ER, of course, and I was fortunate that was able to get in right away Tuesday morning to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester at 7:30 in the morning for surgery. I had a splint on for 2 weeks. This purple cast went on a week ago yesterday. I get it off a week a week from Friday, and then I get a removable splint
Oh,
that I'll be showing off at convention the week following week. So, unfortunately, with this setback, I won't be able to do the glass show, but I am going to definitely participate in the convention. I can't miss that. And of course, purple from the Twin Cities. It's right, isn't it? Vikings, and especially right now at this time, we got a big celebration going on about Prince. And of course, he stayed in the Twin Cities even after all of his success. He likes winters better than I do, I think. So David talked about the colors that we're going to be covering the next 3 months. Often when the topic of colors comes up, people tend to look my way. The color we're going to cover this week is Carmen, and I think David's correct. Along with royal blue is probably two of the favorite colors, although there's so many colors that people like and collect. Heather bloom would be another one that's really popular. Henry Helmers was the chemist that joined Cambridge in 1930, and he really made some significant impact on the Cambridge Glass Company during the only 3 years that he was there. He developed the formulas and launched Carmen, Royal Blue, Amethyst, Forest Green, those deep transparent colors, as well as Heather Bloom, the light transparent, and then Crown Tuscan. So if you take those six colors, that's going to cover a high percentage of the popular colors collected uh, by glass collectors, Cambridge collectors. Henry, of course, I didn't know him at all, but I almost feel like I know him. He graduated from the University of Michigan in chemical engineering and then went to Acro Agate, was there for a number of years making marbles and children's toys, came to Cambridge, and then after that, he was hired back by Acro Agate. Uh, however, he went on to Aladdin, and he's probably more famous for his time at Aladdin than even at Cambridge. And he introduced Alicite, a very popular color, somewhat similar to Crown Tuscan at Aladdin. Um, it's 25 years ago now. I connected with Bill Corder, who spoke at a Cambridge Glass convention. Bill is a retired, already at that time was retired as a horticulture professor living in Paducah, Kentucky. And we connected, and he said, I've got all these colors, formulas from Henry Helmers, and I need to publish them. So I flew down to Paducah, it's 25 years ago now, and spent a weekend with Bill and his wife Treva. And well, it was just a wonderful time. And we were able to work together to get that. I think I was the incentive to push him to publish that Henry Helmers batch book. Unfortunately, his wife Treva was killed in a terrible auto accident very near home just a few years later. Um, so, uh, moving forward, then, I've also, in addition to that, I've had access to another batch book that covers a good chunk of the time that Cambridge glass was being made by a former worker in the factory. One thing that's very obvious going through this is that, and I would say especially the color Cambridge, there wasn't one formula. Everybody thinks they're making chocolate chip cookies when they're making glass. And no, there is not one formula. In fact, that other batch book, it's got like entries from 38 to 41 with comments on tweaking the formula consistently and what the glass looked like when it came out and how it worked. And so that's one thing that I did learn, that they were constantly tweaking these formulas. And if you, like Carmen now, if you hold one piece next to another, the color is not going to be uniform. Now, that's partly due to the formula, but we're going to talk about some other things that are some other reasons for that as well. So Carmen, the first formula in the batch book actually popped up in 1930, but it was introduced to the public in 1931. It lasted till 43, and that's when a lot of these colors were discontinued. We're not sure if it was war shortages. That's probably was a contributing factor, or there was a difference in taste in the buying public. But Carmen, again, it's just a gorgeous color, deep, brilliant, but yet with some warmth to it. And I think that's why of all the ruby red glasses made during the Depression era, it's maybe the most popular because of that. It's just a really bright, brilliant red color. They discontinued it, but they did bring it back in 1950, made it until 53. And then once again, they bought it back in the reopen period in the 50s. So Carmen was in and out of production. Unlike Royal Blue, which we'll talk about 2 months from now, that never came back into production. And that's always surprised me because cobalt glass is one of the easiest colors to make because cobalt oxide is just a pinch in a batch, does the coloring, but they did not bring that back. So what are the colorants in the batch of glass for Carmen? There's two. There's cadmium, which is normally made glass yellow, and there's selenium, that normally makes glass pink. And there was a discovery in the 20s and 30s that if you mix cadmium and selenium and you reheated the glass, you took it out of the mold, but then you reheated it afterwards, you could get this brilliant red. There was this discovery that if you reheated it, you could get this red color. I had originally thought that with the selenium and cadmium, it might have been pinkish when it came out of the mold. But I spent time with Russ Vogelsong at Summit Art Class up at there at Ravenna, Ohio, and he said, "Oh no!" He said it was yellow when it came out, and out of the mold, the glass was yellow, and it needed to be refired, reheated, for the color to become right. And getting that color to be for the red to come out, that was called striking, to get the color to strike. And the reference books I've read, it says that's more of an art than a science to get that to strike, because if you overheated it, it would turn muddy. And I think we've all seen some Carmen that was extremely dark and almost becoming opaque. And we've also seen some that was underfired, that was very light. Now, this would be an example, perhaps. This is in my Swan collection. We've coined this color tangerine. It's transparent all the way through. I think you can see that. It's not like Amberina with a yellow neck or anything. It's all the way through. It's just a really probably underfired Carmen. And of course, if you're a collector, and it's different than the other Carmens that are much deeper in color, you got to have that in your collection too. Now, the formula for Carmen, looking at the many formulas in the two batch books, it was like 50% cullet. And what is cullet? It's glass that's been rejected. So glass that's rejected, the person that was assigned to look at the glass to see if it passed the test for perfection in the factory, if it wasn't good, they threw it in a barrel, and then it was ground up and reused in the next batch of glass of that color. Well, again, the amount of cullet for Carmen was just huge. So that suggests there was a huge rejection rate. And that rejection rate probably was high because it was very difficult to get the color right for it to strike and pass the test of not being too light or too dark. Uh, that also probably explains when Carmen was first introduced in the early 30s, it was priced at 50% higher than all the other colors. 50% higher. So royal blue, forest green, even heather bloom, which had a very expensive ingredient, were all priced the same. But Carmen was 50% higher. As the years went by, that difference in cost went down. So I think when we got to the reopen period, the increased cost was more like 10 to 20% for Carmen glass compared to all the other colors. So I've got some examples here to share, not a lot, and the hope here was that with these colors, especially Carmen, we've had a lot of you participating. Can you see the etching on this? That doesn't help, does it? So this is an Aurora, numbers 1066 goblet, and it's actually etched red tone. But it's funny because you can find stemware in Carmen, especially Rosalie, that's etched but not gold encrusted. So I don't know why, but you can see why we like it better if it's gold encrusted because it's really hard to see. And putting water or wine or anything else in this tumbler isn't going to really help. It doesn't showing at all, is it? The etching.
It shows a
A
little bit.
little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
if right there, and then tilt it there, tilt it right like that. Then we can see it. Tilted
Okay.
back, the light catches it a little bit better.
Okay. So, I mean, that was one of the decorations they did. They just etched it. Not a lot of it. And it's most often Rosalie would be the etching that you would find on a stem. Um, Another decoration, obviously, is gold encrusted, and I'm expecting, maybe with Gary, we're going to see a little bit of gold encrusted. In my last article in the Crystal Ball, I had a pair of these nude saucer champagnes with the chintz etching, and I tell you, I think gold encrusted Carmen is gorgeous. Uh, I prefer gold encrusting on Carmen more than anything else. The another decoration they did, of course, was Japonica. And I've got a piece here. I'm going to have to be careful with one hand. And this is an ivy ball. Uh, and it's nice, but I have to admit, for the Japonica, which is an enamel decoration, it was taken off a decorate plate, very similar to an etching plate that they use for their decorations. I prefer the Japonica on royal blue. And I don't think the gold incrustation is nearly as nice on royal blue as it is on Carmen. So again, another treatment they did. Of course, we may see some silver overlay on Carmen as well from your collections. Now, silver overlay, of course, wasn't done by Cambridge. If it's an overlay, that was done by other companies, but like Rockwell from Connecticut did just a beautiful job on their silver overlay, and it's very striking when it's on Carmen. Another treatment that they did, and this was during the reopen period, was crackle. And I don't know, is that going to show up very well? Maybe there, huh? One
Yeah.
way or the other at an angle. And this is a cocktail with the medium-sized nude, which is what they almost exclusively used during the reopen period. So this is Carmen Crackle, and it was a process making that crackle glass. And of course, after it was crackled, it had to be additionally heated to smooth things out because you wouldn't need or want jagged edges. I thought a final little tidbit to share, I think we're doing okay on time here, is that uh, uh, in the article on the nudes, this last article, when I was talking about the blown bowls, I would have liked to have talked about how the blown bowls were attached to the nudes, but there's a limitation on space in the crystal ball, and if you get in the weeds too much. So what they did with these nudes, as far as creating them, they used a special mold for the stems. So the mold for the stems was called a hokey pokey mold. And if some of you remember, there was a hokey pokeys study group in the Cambridge collectors. It preceded the Miami Valley Club. And it was the hokey pokeys. Well, I thought the hokey pokeys, they were talking about that dance and song from the 1960s that was popular with kids. It was the hokey pokeys. Well, actually, it was the name of a type of mold. Some people say a press. They would fill it with glass underneath, and then they would attach the blow-in bowl of a stem on top. And that's why that area of glass between the stem and the blown bowl is often very, very uniform. It was just a standard practice. And actually, the you can see this for, I think one of the nude stem molds has been on display at the museum. You can see that it's constructed somewhat differently. And again, the glass for the stem is blown up from beneath, and then that blown top is put on top. And then they add a glob of glass on the bottom and add the foot, which is also done by hand. Some of you have seen that movie at the museum, The Crystal Lady, and
Mhm.
actually they've got a hokey pokey mold for this goblet with the 1066. So it was the same process. Use the hokey pokey mold to produce it. So just a human interest type of thing. So that's what I've got. Uh, Carmen was a lot of it was made by Cambridge. It was more expensive. It was more difficult to make. A month from now, with the opal, the Carrera, and the milk glass, all of those are very short-term colors. There's not a lot of milk glass made by Cambridge. And of course, royal blue as well was in the production for only about 12 years. So, Julie, that's what I've got to get things rolling. I'm anxious to see what everybody's got.
Me too. I am very excited about this. So we just put everybody that said they have glass to show, and I just will arbitrarily pick someone to start, and that will be April Lotta, and we will put Sue Cameron on deck, please.
Okay. I have a sister to Les's piece, which so this is actually my favorite piece in Lynn's collection with the chins. So that makes me very happy.
It's the only pieces, April, that have shown up with chintz on Carmen.
Wow. So you
Yeah.
have two and I have one.
Yeah, I think there was a set of 12 that originally came out in Minnesota.
Oh, I
So,
thought there
well,
were
Special,
only
obviously
six.
special order. Yeah.
so
I
the
thought there were
joke around here is
six.
his children get the glass, and I said, I got news for you. The chance is going with me if you go before me.
Yeah, six came out first, Julie, and then another six came
Oh,
out.
okay. Yeah.
Wow. And then next, this is part of my Christmas set. This is a finger bowl and underplate, and I have four of them. I got very lucky and got the four best ones that the lady was selling. And Carmen's my favorite color, but I use this at Christmas. And then last but not least, Carmen would not be complete without her.
Very nice.
So she has no cracks. She's in really good shape. So she makes us very happy.
That must have been
Yes.
difficult to reheat.
That
And
color on it is so good. I don't,
it
the
is,
light in here is not great, but
yeah. The reheating, we believe, was done two different ways. If a blow-on piece, like your nude that you showed, that they put it in back in the glory hole into the furnace. But
yes.
other pieces, probably like that flying lady, they put it on a glazer which had flames shooting out from multiple directions. Because to put that on a punty and put it back in a glory hole would really be hard.
Well, the light isn't great in here, but
Oh
if
yeah,
I
it's
move it,
gorgeous.
she's stunning. So there you go. Okay,
Well,
and now I have to get her back in the cabinet without breaking everything.
isn't that the fun part? We all like to take our pieces out and then it's like, how did this go back in there?
No, 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 no,
Beautiful.
no. I
Yeah.
try very hard not to touch the nudes. There are so many of them and they're crammed. Well, they're
Yeah.
not crammed, but my depth perception's not great, so I try not to do that. But anyway, okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, April. Those were beautiful pieces. And of course, the chintz, which is one of my favorite patterns. Always love to see that. All right. Next, we're going to move over to Sue, and we are going to put Brad on deck, please. Sue, are you still with us?
I am.
There she is.
This is so basic, and I started not to even bother with it, but it's very early. It's a 3400 1132 basket, and it has the ground base and the little triangle C marking. And you can always learn something, and of course, I always do. I did not know that there was like a little dot of glass at the top of the C inside the triangle. But I learned that today on the website. There, if you look, it's like when you put your pen down, there would be a tiny little dot, and then you made the C.
Hmm.
And the triangle C came in two sizes. This is the 5 millimeter. I even found a yo-yo that had the millimeter markings. So this is all I have to show, but it was early in probably the 1931 time frame.
Yes.
So that's it.
So I have a question. If you hold that basket back up, Sue, Les, I've seen a lot of these little baskets. Didn't they make like four versions out of the same mold with
Oh
four
yes.
different, one was like kind of up and then curved, and then one was flared, and one was flatter, and one was that was the plate. How many different I know sometimes we see them as bonbons. There
Yeah,
was a lot
absolutely.
done with that particular mold.
Yeah, and again, that Crystal Lady video, it's on the website, the club's website. You can see how they finished these products. And so, yeah, they'd come out of the mold and they could finish them many different ways. So it was a different number, of course, for each item. But again, the color on that piece is gorgeous, isn't it?
Beautiful.
It's so pretty, really, really pretty. And this one's just like new. There are no scratches or anything. Evidently, it was not used much. So anyway, with all the beautiful gold encrusted pieces that are going to be shown tonight, I was really a little bit skeptical about showing this, but it's unusual and it's so early. So
Oh,
that's
yes, thank you. No, I think it's, practicality. We forget that Cambridge was a very practical company. I mean, they made so many different types of glass, and obviously, gold encrusted is just one part of it, as I think Les did a very great job on the presentation. We look at what they did to Carmen. They engraved, I've seen a few engraved, but silver incrustation, gold incrustation. Then you had etchings without gold incrustation. So practicality was part of their motto, I think.
I think so. And most of the things they probably started in a very utilitarian way, and then came the pretty exotic things. So
Yes. Okay, Les.
Henry actually Helmers emphasized that with Bill Quarter. Bill visited him annually mostly for Aladdin, but then he learned about Cambridge glass too. And the thing is, they emphasized dinnerware during those years. So we have a tendency to get all wrapped up on these pieces that are spectacular, showy pieces, but that really wasn't the bulk of the production by the Cambridge Glass Company, because these Carmen pieces cost in the early years 50% more to begin with. And then you do gold encrusted on it or you do japonica on it. My gosh, the cost was about way beyond what most people could afford during the Great Depression.
It was real
Yeah.
money back then.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Because this is the Great Depression we're talking about.
So Les, I know that when you've given some earlier talks, you've talked about this, they made the lenses for stoplights.
Yes, a
So,
lot of them.
so this was it of the same formulation as the Carmen to give it that red color, or is it a totally different red?
No, well, we're going to go into the weeds now. I actually
Well,
read
I'm
about
just
that
curious.
today. But
Sorry,
no, they
sorry.
had to really do some things different, because when you've got a light in the back come
Yeah.
shining through, like in a stoplight, it looks different. So the formulas were different. The other thing, the formula for Carmen was different if it was a blown thin piece versus a pressed thick piece. That was also
Mm.
a different formula somewhat if it was heat resistant. And Henry Helmers really prided himself in tweaking a lot of the formulas to make them heat resistant. So it's a good
Oh.
question. Yeah, they did a lot of insulators. They did a lot of, it was all by contract,
Hmm.
bulk. But I'm sure that really helped the company stay afloat.
Sure. Well, I was just curious because we said how utilitarian they made glass, so I had to ask the question. All righty. Next, thank you, Sue, so much. I'm glad you brought up the fact about the trademark. That was very interesting, being two different sizes. And yes, I never knew about the little point. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's always educational here.
My pleasure.
All right. Next, we have Brad, and then we'll put Mary and Jeff on deck, please.
And so at my first job out of college, way back in the early 80s, I was working for a research firm in DC, and they sent me out to California, to the Bay Area for a project. And I had a chance, a little free time to go to the Los Gatos Antique Mall out there. And I'm stumbling through some dark corners of it. And first I found a Crown Tuscan console set. And then I came around a corner and found a Carmen statuesque sweetmeat.
Beautiful.
Both that unbelievably affordable. They didn't really know what they had. My dad was collecting statuesque at the time, so I was very excited and was able to purchase it. And then I had the challenge of getting all of that back on the airplane. So I popped it all into carry-on luggage, and they still, as it was going, it's not as stringent as nowadays, but they still asked me to unpack, especially this piece as it was going through. So, but Les's comment earlier about his tangerine swan made me realize, I don't know if you can see, but this has kind of what I've always thought was a different color handle on top, and I'm wondering if it's that kind of that tangerine color that maybe got applied separately to that. So,
Brad, it's a
and
good
especially,
point. I've wondered about that too, but I would guess that like that cover, which was pressed,
uh-huh,
that if they put it on a glazer, it would depend on where those jets, flew
oh,
out, so how it would hit it. So it might not have, the
yeah,
finial there on top might not have been reheated as much as the bottom.
okay. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. And it's been sitting here on the table in the sun, and I was really noticing it I went, oh yeah, boy, when it's in the cabinet, I don't notice it as much like that. So
Well, I
it was my
just
dad's
want to
favorite
say
sweetmeat.
it took me 30 seconds to get my jaw back up. That's gorgeous. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have one other piece. So about 10 years before that, so I'm in high school or before high school, my mom, they had started with depression glass, and then they started getting interested in Cambridge also. They came across some really nice pieces. And she was at an estate sale, and she came home with the 3400 number 4 12-inch four-toed flared bowl, gold encrusted rose point.
Oh,
Yes.
beautiful,
So,
beautiful.
so we immediately thought, oh, great, we're going to work on a whole set of this. Well, so this is the only piece still. But it's always had pride of place in the collection. It's sat on the buffet all through my high school, all through college. I grew up with it. And then when my parents moved, they had a nice display room, and it is a centerpiece of the display room also, and I enjoy it as well. So
Brad,
uh,
the gold looks mint on the edge, is it?
it does, yeah, it is.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah,
beautiful.
exactly. My mom was very excited when she came home that day.
I'm sure she was. I will have to, my parents are, they never attend these. So I have to, since you just talked about your parents finding their little gems, and since you saw that particular piece, my parents, when they first started collecting, they went to all the auctions and had a great time. And they ended up going to this auction out in the country for a woman who has never been married, but she had done a seamstress and odd jobs, and she had all this glass all over the table. And they saw this piece sitting in the middle of the table, which was a beautiful red pitcher with gold incrustation on it. And so they were like, well, we hope no one hits that. We kind of think it's Cambridge, but we're not sure. So they kind of moved the glass around, and the bidding starts, and my dad bids, and let's just say he didn't pay a lot of money for this little ball jug, which is Carmen gold encrusted rose point. And to this day, it's like all of us as children, I always say, well, I'm the only one that likes Cambridge, so I should get it, but I'm getting overruled. It's probably going to the museum at some point. But it's amazing what they found when no one had books. Now, I got to tell a little more of the story. So they get this picture. It's 2 weeks before Cambridge Convention. My stepmother wraps it up real nice and brings it to convention, and she shows it to Lynn Welker. And Lynn goes, how much do you want for it? And she goes, well, I can't sell it. He goes, no, how much do you want for it? And she goes, no, we just got it last week. We can't get it. So she didn't sell it, but she could have. The next week, the Rose Point book with that picture by Jean Florence comes out, and my parents' jaws dropped, never understanding that this was a very, very hard piece to find. So it is their pride and joy, as you said. It sits in the cabinet in the same position, and no one's allowed to touch it. So, but it's been in our family now for, I don't know, 30 some years, and at some point we'll see whose collection it ends up in next. But I love these kind of stories because it really shows how we came about finding all this beautiful, beautiful glass. And knowing that my parents don't even know how to turn on the computer to do this, I know they won't mind too much. So thank you so much for sharing,
Thanks,
and thank
Julie.
you for indulging me on my story. We'll move on to Mary and Jeff, and we'll put Gwinnell on deck, please.
Okay. Well, we don't have anything decorated to show today. And I don't know, some of these pieces we may have shown before we don't have a ton of Carmen, but anyway, if I don't remember, somebody else might. So one of the pieces is this bowl, and I didn't look up the number for it with the 4-footed, but it's like I think they call it a vase and a bowl.
We call
But
it
it's just
we call it a napkin bowl.
napkin bowl. Okay. It's just I love the shape of it. I just think it's so
Yeah,
unusual.
it's so cool.
And then you do have the Ivy bowl. And this one it's got the foil label on it.
Beautiful.
And one of my favorite pieces, I love the tally ho pattern, but I really love the cover of this candy dish. You can see it. It's just such a deco look.
Yes.
I just love that pattern. And then there's the cigarette holder with the ashtray foot. And we got the Sonata console set. I'll just pull up the two pieces.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we bought this set from a friend, and it's just a neat kind of 50s. We do have this one's for Gwinnell. She's probably got it anyway. The Carmen, the sugar and creamer. And then the last piece is the newest find. We were at an estate sale on Sunday, and we found this pair of candlesticks. And I was surprised. We didn't get there. We usually don't go right when they open. And we were there a couple hours later, and they were sitting on the table for $12 for the pair. So they had to come home with
Of course they did.
it. They're
Don't you
so
love it when you
delicate.
find them for that kind of price?
Yeah, yeah. Finding bargains makes it even more fun. That's all we pulled out. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I know you do a beautiful display at Christmas and you use your red and your green and everything. So,
Well, I was
um,
just saying to Jeff, I said, I think, we've got Crown Tuscan on display right now. And getting out the Carmen pieces, I thought, well, we should probably do red, white, and blue for, for the fourth. But
yes. Well, thank you. I always appreciate you sharing, and I do love that first napkin bowl or napkin vase or whatever we're calling it, but that is a very cool shape.
oh,
So
yeah.
thank you.
Oh, sure.
Next, we'll move on to Gwinnell, and then we'll move to Jeff, please.
If I can do this. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try and do this the easy way.
There you go.
Oh, there's the 3400, just a small nappy. And cream and sugars, cream and sugars, cream and sugars. Nautilus back there, 3400. Tally ho. And the Georgian, the small tumbler. And then Fostoria, Fairfax, they called theirs Ruby. And I showed this last week, Hayden City, Gadroon, but it's definitely darker.
Oh, yeah.
And the stem is Canton. I think Fatura is the name of it. And then the last one is the New Martinsville and the Queen Anne. And again, it's very, very dark. So, so that's all I've got to share. I figured that was the easiest way to do it.
Yes. Well, it is. I always like when you show the comparisons, and I still go back to, I think the Cambridge is the most vibrant out of those colors. And it's very interesting. So I'm going to go back and ask Les a question. Les, was Cambridge the first company to come out with a Carmen color, or who in the glass world, or did they all come out about the same with Carmen, or did one start Carmen and everybody said, we got to do this too? Do you know?
Well, Cambridge wasn't the first one. And I can't remember, I don't recall the exact date when this discovery came about that you could reheat the selenium cadmium mixture as colorants and you could get it to strike and become ruby. And the name was Ruby across the industry. And in a few instances, Cambridge used the word Ruby as well in their advertising rather than Carmen, but it was still Carmen, of course. So Cambridge wasn't the first, but a lot of these came out at about the same time there, about 1930. It was
Okay.
when they came out. And then the darker colors, again, there's examples in Cambridge that are very dark. A particular blank to me is the pinch decanter. Quite a few of those are turning, they called it muddy when they were overfired and they almost become opaque. And often on those decanters, it's around the opening on top for some reason. And that might have been because they did probably go back in the glory hole so that the lip around the top would have been exposed to higher heat. So again, really tough to get the color uniform across
Mm-hmm.
a piece of glass if it was going back into the furnace, into the glory hole.
Okay.
Here in Toledo, we had the Libby Glass Company, which was formerly the New England Glass Company, and they had a formula for red glass that was produced with extracts of gold and that type of thing. And they lost that recipe for the longest and had to up chuck and come to Toledo, where the unfortunate worker lost his wedding ring into a batch, and they made pieces with it, and it turned out what they called from then on gold ruby, and no one could understand what the heck they were talking about.
Yeah. You're right, Lyle. You could use gold as a colorant, but of
Yep.
course, for these companies, they couldn't afford to use gold in their
Well, the
batch.
nice thing was it was already controlled price wise, so it wasn't going to go up any.
Right. And from what I've read, my reference materials, it's more like a cranberry colored red than
It it
than the
really
type of red
depends
we're
on
talking about.
it really depended on what else was in the
Oh,
sand,
yes,
you
absolutely.
know. So they had down at the art museum, they have several pieces of different shades of red, and some of them are just as intense as Carmen.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but did those may not have had the gold in it?
They were all the gold ruby.
They all
Yeah,
said they were gold. Yeah, okay. It
yeah.
would depend on what else they included.
Yes, exactly. And they didn't explain the mystery.
Well, they always have to keep us guessing, right?
Sure. Yeah. Otherwise, everybody's doing it, right?
That's all right. Well, thank you, Gwinnell. It's always great to see all the different styles that you have in the creams and sugars and also the other examples. So we appreciate it as always. Next, we'll move to Jeff and we will put Wendy on deck, please. Oh, unmute yourself, Mr. Eggers. There you go.
Okay. How did I do that? Just a
You're
minute.
unmuted now. You're good.
Yeah, but all I could see was me, and that was not a pretty sight. This is the first one I have. This little Cambridge paperweight thing. I don't know who made it. I don't have a clue in the world, but it looks good in the cabinet. The only gold piece I got in red.
It's likely made by Mosser.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cool. And then I have this Nautilus jug with the crystal handle. And this does, you can see like Les is talking about on the rim here, it has got a different, like a muddy look to it. You put a black light on it and you can really see that. But that's a pretty cool piece. That's the newest one I got. And then my 8.5-inch swan with turn the other side so you can see the way the neck is twisted. And of course, she's got a baby to go with it. And this one is actually signed. It's got a mark on it, but it's so polished away you can barely see it's even there. And the next one, my 1066 Ivy ball. And we don't see a lot of Ivy balls on this program, but I'm going to show a couple tonight.
That's good.
And the keyhole one, the melon ball one. And then this fine lady here, which if you look at this one, can you see how the bottom is flat?
Yes.
Does
Thank
that
you.
come across in the picture?
It sure does.
Okay. Well, you got that one. And then you got this one here, which is round on the bottom. And if somebody can explain why, that'd be cool.
Well,
And
Jeff, I
this
need to
one,
do some more research on that for the article when that one comes up on those ivy balls. But my guess is they started with the flat one because they did make that vase with a flat bottom and they could just attach it to the nude. That's what they did with so many of those editions after 1934. And they said, well, it would look better if it wasn't flat on the bottom. So they blew it differently. But
and this
I'll
one,
follow up on that for you.
yeah, this one here with the flat bottom is actually, I gotta figure out how to make it. Is this one is actually darker, if you
Yeah.
can tell that in the pictures, than this one. And it sits just a quarter inch taller.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But that's what I got.
Oh, well, thank you. You've added a new question for our educational director. So we'll keep him busy with that question. So thank you for showing. And
Yeah,
I love Nautilus. I think that's one of the greatest shapes they ever made in Cambridge. I just love the design of it and everything about it. So
yeah,
thank
it's
you
pretty
for
cool.
sharing that.
I need a little color in all my crystal, you know.
Well, yeah, you got to mix it up. It just gives
But
you one more thing to collect.
I have another question for Les though. On your articles in the crystal ball on the nude stems, it's now you're talking sweetmeats. Now I don't know what sweetmeat means. Maybe you can explain that. And you can take the cover off the puff box and put on for the to make the sweetmeat, but which one is more desirable, the sweetmeat or the puff box? Or does it depend on color?
Okay, so the sweet meat, it's kind of sweet meat is kind of an odd word because it's got quite a few different definitions, and there's different glass companies that have different types of things that they called sweet meats. But Cambridge called this particular nude stem a sweet meat. So it's a saucer champagne that's blown top with that pressed cover. And my guess is they just said, wonder if that would fit on there. And it did. So they said, well, this is a cool piece. We'll just make these. But not every pressed cover from that puff box fits well on top of a saucer champagne. Sometimes a saucer champagne's too small, sometimes it's too big. And my guess is that they just picked out, when they had a batch of saucer champagnes, they just picked out the ones that, had the correct fit to put that cover on. But it
And
is
they sold
unusual
them
because
as sweetmeats.
what's that?
They sold them as sweetmeats
Oh,
then?
yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just curious. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. It's always good to have good questions because they're all things that we don't know about, and when we get off these calls, then we kind of worry about them or think about them. So thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing as well. Next, we'll go to Wendy, and then we'll put Lyle on deck, please.
Good evening. Seeing as I'm on the West Coast, I could keep you up well past your bedtime with all of my ruby glass. But I'll just do Cambridge tonight.
Okay.
I've got the Cambridge nude bud vase in Carmen. I'm a bud vase collector. This isn't the usual style, but this is one of their bud vases.
Wendy, that's hard to find in Carmen. I don't know
Oh, is
why,
it?
but it's hard, but it's easier to, well, it costs more, of course, but it's easier to find in royal blue and other colors than in Carmen.
I've got two in amethyst, but I don't have the royal blue.
Yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have the ivy ball also, and this one has the satin
Ooh,
stem.
stem.
I've had this for a long time. I guess this is the round one compared to Jeff's flat one. Um, Many of you know I have a smoking collection. So I have the nude ashtray in Carmen. And I believe it was Mary and Jeff showed the torchère cigarette holder. And I've got the 1066 oval cigarette holder. And the 1066 round one. And the little nut cup. What is it? I think it's 3400 nut cup. And one of the prime pieces of my bud vase collection is the Carmen bud vase, and it has the label on the base. And then the last piece is, I know it's not really Cambridge, this is Mirror Images. They're new, I guess, draped lady. Now, who made Mirror Images? Was that Imperial?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
It was Mirror Images contracted Imperial to produce them, and they did a nice job. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's got some Amberina in
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it's nicely done and different.
Yes.
And that's it. But I could go on and on, but I won't.
Well, you're going to have to send us more pictures,
Oh,
Wendy. Beautiful, beautiful items. I really enjoyed that really small, short ashtray on the 1066. That's just adorable. I I love all the different shapes, and I like when we see the tall sizes and the small sizes and just the little differences and nuances between the heights. So thank you for sharing all those. And your Carmen vase is spectacular. So beautiful, beautiful piece. All right. And so now, after Wendy, some of the ladies that Wendy showed, their cousins, Lyle, I'm sure you have some cousins to show.
I've got one or two laying around the house.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I think this is just a gorgeous little diminutive uh, swan. I mean, he's just cute as a button. I couldn't stand it. I had to have him. He's in the collection. Sorry, Les, that one's not yours. This is my favorite shape in the world. It's one of the girls with that tulip on top. I don't know how long they built them, but isn't that just, I mean, that goes with a girl, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
pity's sakes, my gracious. What did he do with them? Just to get a little extra help with the color. Can you see that?
Oh,
This is
yes.
one of the
Beautiful.
thin ones. And this one shows up very well in the spotlights. A gorgeous little piece for my 14 bucks. This is a claret with one of those etchings in it. And
Ooh.
it's Portia. And I've said maybe before, you've heard me, it's such a shame to waste all that effort on something that disappears when you pour something into it. I don't know, but it's a pretty piece with lights. All
Mm-hmm.
the girls are pretty with lights. I have my broken lady. This is a crackle in the table goblet size. Um, the, they break them and then fix them. And I'm not real sure what the purpose of that is, but it's an old technique from New England glass blowers on up beyond their teachers, I'm sure. But they make the piece, dunk it in warm water, it cracks, but it stays together. How that happens, I don't know. Either that or they have a real busy gluing department.
You know,
This
it's so
one,
funny, Lyle, with those Carmen crackle, because it's not in the price list ever.
oh, is that right?
No. And but the moonlight blue is, and none of us have ever seen a moonlight blue crackle nude. So it's just funny how these things kind of work out. And then
They do the
how they did it, I don't think there's really good agreement, and there might have been different ways of getting that crackled effect. But yeah, you're right. They essentially destroy it, and then
yeah.
they have to
Uh,
reheat it to smooth it out.
the
So the
glass is
rejection rate was high again.
the glass for that is much thicker than
Yeah,
normally
usually it's
blown,
thicker. Yeah.
just to give them something to hope holds together. I have. And this is our most recent acquisition. And this one is from the folks at Mosser. It's the Buckeye Goblet, and there's an equal one in gray. So it's scarlet and gray forever. And away we go. That's my Carmen for tonight.
Well, thank you. And I do agree. I love the tulip shape on the
Just
statuesque. It just seems so fitting and so perfect.
it goes so well with a big red Dalton jug, with that
Hmm.
big overlip on. Oh, geez.
Well, I'm glad you could bring the ladies to show them off today. We always
Yeah, sure.
appreciate it. So thank you. I think I had forgotten to put someone on deck, so we're going to move to David, and then we'll put Gary on deck.
Thank you, Julie. So I'll start here. A couple of these are duplications, but that's okay. This is the 8.5-inch Carmen Swan that Jeff shared earlier. They did a really nice job. This is in the 40s, and the coloring on this is very consistent, which is kind of fun. Not too dark, not too light, but consistent from beak to tail.
Actually, that was the 50s, David, and I think they got better at it. And that's why the rejection rate went down and the extra cost went down as well.
I think
The
the earlier
workers just
people.
got better at it. Yeah.
Gwinnell showed the Nautilus cream and sugars. These are kind of fun. They're actually kind of tricky to find, but they're kind of fun. They're a decent size, and you can get them a nice variety of colors. The handles are quite delicate on these, so if you're shopping for these and you're looking at a pair, just double check these handles, make sure they don't have a fracture at the connection point at the top of the bowl. I have one piece of Georgian in my collection. And this came
Oh,
from
that's
Harold
cool.
and Judy's museum way back in the day when Lynn purchased that. And Lynn claims that there are several of these out there, several, meaning maybe 4 or 5. But someone just had a fun day and twisted the handle on top, and still a basket, but it's a more interesting basket, I think, than the traditional one. An item I saw early on in my collecting, it's not super rare, but what I think is kind of fun, it's this vase. But for some reason in Carmen, they included the Carmen foot on these, and I've seen a half a dozen of these over the years. But for some reason, why in Carmen they included the foot? Normally the foot would be crystal, but this one happens to be red from top to bottom. And again, I've seen a few of these, but kind of cool to see it all in one color. You typically don't do that.
David, that foot, it's darker, isn't it? And it's pressed.
Yeah, it's a
That's
press
what's
piece.
it's so the top would have been blown
Yeah,
and then
the
the
whole thing is
base,
a little on the dark side, actually.
but
Maybe
the
it's
Hmm.
the lack of contrast between the crystal foot, but yeah, it's a little darker for sure. But I've had a couple, 3 or 4 of these over the years, but this one I saw in a collection. I said, that's really, really super cool. I don't have a ton of silver overlay, but this was a fun gifted piece to me from Steve and Helen Klemko after visiting them for so many years. This is a Tally-Ho cordial and
Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, is
no,
that right?
14.
Florentine. Okay.
Florentine,
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
Bordeaux.
No,
Rockwell
Lynn was
silver.
misspoke at the
Excellent.
last meeting.
Oh,
It's Florentine. Yeah.
You can put together, I know Julie's dad kind of likes this stuff a little bit, and you can put together a pretty good set of these. I mean, you get goblets, champagnes, wines, clarets, cordials, cocktails. So
finger bowls.
yeah, they did the whole line in this. And actually, right now on eBay, there is a set of the Morgantown stems that look very similar to these with exactly this. And there must be about 50 stems in
Really?
one lot. So if you're a Morgantown collector or you just like Rockwell with silver on it, check out eBay. They're not cheap, but you can make them an offer. This is a 3011 Claret. What makes this one a little cool is at the very bottom, it might be kind of hard to see, there is
Oh,
the
there
word
it is.
Canadian Club is written
Yes.
on the bottom of these. So
Tilted just a
someone,
little bit, tilted back up a little bit more because there it is, right there.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So I have three of these, in one in amber and one in forest green. So apparently, some bar or for some promotional, they bought these and put the enamel decorate on there. Cambridge may have put the enamel on it as a special order. I don't know, but kind of cool. These are the only three I've ever seen. And the last piece, got to have a little Everglade in the program. This is the
Yes.
One Light leaf candlestick. Why they chose to bring Everglade out and make it in Carmen, there's only a handful of pieces they actually produced in Carmen. The One Light, like this one, the Two Light, there's the leaf bowl, and then there's another first cousin to Everglade, like a springtime bowl. I've seen one in the museum over the years. So very few pieces in Carmen. And of course, they made the inserts, the vase inserts that went in these that are quite striking as well. So, Julie, that's all I've got.
David, that would have been the early 30s, and it would have been 50% more expensive. So the buying public maybe didn't want as many of them.
Right. Yep. But often in Everglade, you wonder, like, where's all the royal blue? Where's all the amethyst pieces that they
Yeah.
could have made? They just did forest green, amber, and then a select few pieces in Carmen. Of course, the willow blue and the moonlight and the crystal. That's
Ebony.
very ebony, well, ebony's not plentiful, but the willow blue and the crystal pretty common. All right, Joy, that's all I've got.
Well, thank you, David. Always interesting to see what you have in your collection. Now I'm going to have to look at Canadian Club. Do you think it was for the whiskey, or do you think it was for something else? Because you think of Canadian Club whiskey all the time.
It looks like the lettering of the Canadian Club. It's in that British
British
whatever that
font.
is. It looks like Old English text. Old English.
Yes. Okay.
So it
Oh,
looks like
interesting.
the writing on the Canadian Club bottle, the whiskey bottle.
Okay. Well, thank you. I always enjoy seeing your pieces. Okay, Gary, we've been saving you up to get out that gold. So don't disappoint us. I'm putting you on the spot, Gary.
Okay, I'm on the spot, but I'm not gonna show you any of that. Maybe I will. Anyway, I got a real dark. Where am I at here? How can I get this? Okay,
there you go.
It's 3400 ashtray. And it's Carmen, but it's really, really dark. Is it because of the thickness of the glass, or did they overfire it, or what?
Probably a combination of both, Gary. It's a thicker piece, yeah. But it would have been tricky to fire that so that it would be uniform. Refire it, reheat it.
And what do they call? I'm not great on the other patterns other than the etched patterns, but what did you call that? What's that pattern?
Wild Rose.
That's Wild Rose, okay. I didn't know.
It's a new cut pattern, but they kept it in production for many, many, many years.
Wild Rose, okay. And then I was into the pressed, so I got a water goblet into the 3105 foot, just plain. And then I've got a claret in the pressed. Where am I at here? Yeah.
There you go.
And then I've got the little 5-ounce footed tumbler or cigarette holder, I call it. If anybody's got these in crystal rose point on the top, I'm needing those. Anyway, I got a question too. Most of the time, some of the candy boxes and different pieces have the Carmen rose knob with the 3 petals. But what is this? Everybody can see it. I don't know. Can you see it all right?
It looks like a stopper, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a stopper. But it has 4 petals.
Yeah, I think.
And I bought it out there at the one of the groups out there in Cambridge when I was out there. So would it have been an experimental piece that they put in a decanter, or it was in a decanter, but I didn't know whether it was supposed to be there or not.
Well, I'm
And
not
it's
aware
a
that
polished,
yeah, I'm not
polished
aware
stuff.
that it's cataloged, but it could easily be a whimsy. David, do you know? Have you seen it before?
I think Fenton did something like a rose stopper.
Oh,
They did.
So
Fenton did do
That's
a road stopper. We had a decanter with that stopper on it.
oh, it's Fenton.
okay. Well, that may have been Fenton and I bought. I didn't know.
I know I've seen perfume bottles with that as the kind of the finial on the
Yeah.
dripper.
But it looks exactly like the Cambridge ones. I mean, they're done exactly like. The
Yeah,
pedals all got the same design on them, and everything else just like a regular one.
Well,
Cambridge.
Gary, we've been told that when the Cambridge factory closed, a lot of the workers went to Imperial.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I was out there when they were making the flower frogs that had the extra veins in the bases and stuff like that when they was out there. Anyway, then I got a regular water goblet in the nude stem. I don't have the banquet goblet, but it's the regular table goblet. And then I got a cocktail in the nude stem. And I used to have all the different stems that were in my book, but I don't have all of them anymore. I haven't got my water goblet, but I've got this iced tea. I don't know if anybody can see it very well.
Closer to your face. There you go. And now back a little bit, and it'll come into focus for us. There we go. Perfect. Very
Got the
nice.
iced tea. And I've got the tall sherbet. Where's that then? Got the cocktail. And that's all I got anymore. I used to have the water goblets and the got one more. Got the cordial. But this is the third one that I've ever had. But I only have one left now. But I used to have the short sherbet. I used to have the water goblet. Used to have the wine, the claret. I don't have any more. They all went by the wayside.
Yes.
Anyway, that's all I got in the red right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. It's always so unusual to see all the different sizes of stemware in the rose punk gold encrusted, and that
Yeah.
cordial is just phenomenal. So
Well,
beautiful piece.
in the crystal stem line, they got 15 different stems in the 3500 line. Can you imagine that all in Carmen gold encrusted?
Be a lot
Way
of different
back-
types.
Yeah, way back when I started 50 years ago with buying this type stuff, and then I sold the first collection and put a down payment on a home. But back in the old days, I had a chance to buy a ball tilt Carmen gold encrusted Rose Point piece from Nadine Panko, if anybody knows who that is. She's a dealer out of Chicago, but way back in the time of the Depression glass days. And she had one, and she told me she'd sell it to me for $200. This is way back when. And I said, okay. And then when she finally got it, she raised her price $200 more. For $400 she wanted, and I said, oh no, I can't afford $400. So I didn't buy it. I wished I had. But
Yeah.
she's had some good stuff. But I had a decanter that was the 3200 32 ounce decanter in gold encrusted on Carmen. And I've had a cheese and cracker, both with the underplate and the other one. And can't think of, I can't think, there's several pieces I've had. But
Yeah.
what, Joe? No. Okay, my wife was talking to me. Anyway, there's been some times way back when I had the opportunity to buy some of this wonderful stuff, and I passed up a lot of good stuff. Makes you
Yeah.
wonder.
Yeah, we always think we'll see it again. It'll come back
Yeah,
around,
yeah,
and then we could kick ourselves later.
yeah,
So, well, it is what it is.
yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. It's always a
yeah.
pleasure,
Well, it's
Gary.
my privilege.
Okay. So next, is there anyone else that has any glass to share? Okay, I am going to share one piece of mine, and then Norm had a piece he would like to share that he sent some photos of. So I'm going to share tonight. I have this little piece, Japonica. It's a little vase, very nice, very excellent. No enamels missing. So this is one of my very first pieces of Japonica, and see if I can get it in here. There we go. It's just a really small, cute little vase. So I bought it partly because I had been to Japan and I thought this would be a nice addition to the pieces I had received when I was in Japan as gifts. So, and it is signed at the bottom with the Japonica mark as well.
Yeah,
So with that,
Japonica came out in 1933, Julie,
yes.
and they had a little bit of problem because Japan was getting a little aggressive with China and some other countries about that time, so it was a tough marketing. So they changed the name to Hawthorne.
Oh, yes.
They changed the name to Hawthorne, and then it really showed well on your piece that Japonica satin on one side. So
Yes.
it's the
Yes.
inside that they normally satinize
Yes, it is satinized
on
on
the
the
bases.
inside.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it helped the decoration show.
Yes, very much. And so I just love this piece. I have one other piece of Japonica that is a little large for me to get out. It's not in a good spot for me to ask my husband to get it. So I told him to get the easy piece. I don't have him touch the other piece. So that's my piece to share. And in the meantime, we've had someone that just uh, Kristen. Yes, Kristen said she has a 2 light candlestick to show. So Kristen, if you'll unmute yourself, you can show us your piece.
I gotta go grab it real quick.
Oh, okay, you go grab it. And while you're grabbing it, I am going to share my screen and see if I can get this to go. There we go. Can everybody see that? I gotta push everybody down over here. Can everybody see this piece in large?
Yes.
Okay. So Norm was not able to join us tonight, but he did send some pictures to David. And this is a beautiful piece of Japonica. And I think it's wonderful. It's the compote. How high is this, David? Do you remember?
When you look these up in the book, I think this comport is probably going to be listed based upon diameter. It's probably about
Okay.
a 7 inch diameter, probably about an 8 inch height on it.
Mm-hmm.
Norman wrote an article many years ago. He and his mother were out running errands and they went past an antique mall and he asked his mother if he could run in. So mom stayed in the car and Norm runs in and he comes out with this beautiful piece down in the Houston area. So it's always a fun story when Norman tells that about how he left mom in the car just so he could go in and check out the antique mall, but it was obviously a fantastic find that day.
Yes, well, he should have made sure mom was well fed then, since he was able to come up with such a great piece. And I found it interesting, and I this is why I ended up getting my Japonica piece, is his mark on the bottom looks so much different, whiter and brighter than mine does. And so it was just kind of interesting that his piece, it just seems a little whiter and brighter than mine for some reason. And I think, Les, would this be because it's not on the top portion satinized, and it has that brighter look?
You're talking about the label on the underside?
Well, I'm talking about first this pattern.
I think it's probably the same. It would just be the photograph.
Okay. And
Now,
then,
if the enamel sometimes will be yellowish if it's been overheated. It can turn a little yellow if it's, because once they applied the enamel, they had to, put it back in in a heating of some sort so it would adhere to the glass. So sometimes it can lean a little bit yellow.
okay.
I did look up the cost in 1933 of my Ivy ball that I showed.
Yes.
$38.50 a dozen
Oh, oh boy.
for a
Don't
dozen
you?
of them.
Yeah.
So
Rich is,
it
yeah,
wasn't that I mean that was a lot of money back then. But $3.20 a piece. But again, it just didn't sell well. It wasn't appealing to the public. So it's like so many things among collectors. We go goo-goo over this. I happen to like it, but I especially like it because I know the dollar value. That's part of it. So it wasn't a good seller at the time by the public.
well, I'm sure somewhere in someone's attic there's a dozen sitting there for the $33 they thought they'd have for an investment. Rich is saying if I only had $33.80 back in the 30s, I think Rich kind of got slack-jawed there when you said $33.80 for a dozen. So I think he would have
38.50 for a
I
dozen.
I think he would have ponied in for a few of those. I think we all would have had we known what we know now. So very interesting.
I got a story to tell you. I was
Okay, can
at
you
a,
go
what?
ahead? Go
Oh,
ahead.
anyway, real quick, I used to deal in Nikon camera equipment, and I saw this ad in the Kansas City Star for someone that was selling it. So I went over to Cable Chevrolet over here in the Missouri side and met this man, which was a Jewish person, and he was selling his equipment. So I bought it, and he says, "You know what I'm doing with this money, don't you?" And I said, "No." And he pulled out this little ingot. It was a 10-ounce ingot for $350 for a 10-ounce ingot. How many ingots should we have all been buying back then? Of gold, solid
Oh
gold.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, I had an opportunity and didn't do it. I should have done it.
We all had great intentions. And we said, that'll never catch on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll go back to Christian. Did you find your candlesticks?
I did, and I apologize. I went for a run and then realized what time it was. That's why I was late. So I have these two. If you hear my child, ignore her. She just got home. I have the keyhole candlesticks, and I have two, but I have one that is like the more decagon base,
Yes,
and then
yes.
my other one is actually just round. So both are Carmen, but two different bases.
Okay, Les, tell her the ages here.
Well, they started with the decagon, preceded the round base. So yeah, they were both made. They're still pretty together.
Oh yeah.
But you could probably find a mate for each with some time.
Did anybody notice that the round ones had a clear place through the glass where the arms are, and
yeah.
the other ones filled in?
You
Oh
can
yes,
see
put those back up.
This one's filled and the decagon's not.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier when this candlestick was discussed when Jack Thompson led a program. And I don't know exactly when they started filling in that that space and that opening. But yeah, the earlier ones, there's a hole there, and it's I don't know why, if it was the mold didn't close as tightly or if it provided more support.
Would they have been when they pulled it out of the mold, if it was still kind of molten, would they have sagged in those areas? Because I know on the 1338 candlesticks, they originally came without the glass between that last tail, and then they started putting a piece of glass in there to keep it from folding down in and hitting the body of the candlestick.
It's a good hypothesis, Gary. Could well be.
I don't know. That's what they told me. Somebody
Yeah.
told me that.
Well, of course, there's all kinds of stories out there, but it does make sense logically. Yeah.
Well, I know the first candlesticks in that 1338 all don't have any glass in the tail. If you've ever noticed them. Yeah.
Well, that was a good catch, Gary. And we're glad you made it back from your run to join us, Kristen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fun story. So she actually made her first glass purchase inadvertently off of eBay because I was cleaning a fish tank. She found my phone, decided to push button and accept an offer on a Paden City piece. And I said, well, that will be a wedding gift for you at some point in your existence.
Cambridge, honey, Cambridge.
Oh, she's got a lot that she will get. She's got a lot.
Oh, good. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. It's always appreciated. Okay, so do we have any other glass to share this evening?
Well, I've got a Caprice, the ice bucket from our program a couple of months ago, compared with the Brockway ice bucket.
Oh,
I'd have come across the two. So we've got the Caprice.
yes,
the
this is what
Alpine.
we discussed a few months ago.
Yes, with the very, very smooth satin on it. And then the Brockway, side by side, and it has a very rough texture, but the loops are different, where at least the number of loops and the number of the waves or whatever, the fan part, they are different. And the height is a little different, and the top scallops are different, but then there's the base. It's definitely different.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a comparison.
Oh, well, thank
There's-
you.
Yeah, and they come with several different handles on it.
Mm-hmm.
So Gwinnell, who copied who?
Cambridge came out first. Brockway
Okay.
came out probably 20 years later.
All right. It's so often people assume that everybody copied Cambridge. Actually, Cambridge was one of the best copiers out there. But
Yeah.
in this case,
In this case, Brockway copied them.
okay.
And they acknowledge it because they're saying it's a repeat or a copy of or
Reintroduction.
revision of the Art Deco time period. And they advertised it that way.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing with us. I'm glad you were able to find it because we did have quite the discussion about that. So
Yes, we did.
that's
And
wonderful.
It was cheap.
Yeah.
Some of them out there are not, but that one was cheap.
Yes.
It came in good shape.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I think we've seen everyone's items today. As always, we so appreciate you joining us, and especially in the summer months where we all get a little bit busy and the days get a little bit longer, and we tend to stay outside a little bit longer. So thank you for joining us. So with that, I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Julie. Again, reiterate what Julie said. We appreciate all of our participants this evening, and the sharing of the glass is really what we enjoy the most here in these events. Well, next month, July, will be our white portion of Salute to the Red, White, and Blue. So as Les mentioned earlier, Opal, Carrera, and then Milk Glass. If you have any of those white colors, I'm just looking here real super quick to see what day that would be. The second Tuesday looks like the 14th of July. So we'll be getting together again. That'll be a couple weeks after convention. So maybe there'll be a few purchases at convention in one of those three colors that you can share if you're planning to attend. So Thank you again to Les for leading the educational portion and for everybody who participated by sharing their glass tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Les, wonderful program as always. I think it's been very informative tonight. We've learned all sorts of new things as far as trademarks and sizes and the triangle C, and just I really enjoy this day of the month to make sure that we can really commune with everyone and share what we have and just, really just have a great time with everyone. So thank you for your time tonight. As always, it's much appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you in July. So until then, have a wonderful month and we'll see you soon.